brothers and sisters. We have a guest with us today, and she's going to be asking some questions. She's actually a Christian, and she is, dressed in full Niqab with me today for this interview. And we're just going to do a really fun Q&A. Okay. Assalamualaikum. Okay, so our guest today is going to ask us some questions that have been on her mind for quite some time. So go ahead. What's the first one?
The first one is, how is the Bible different from the Quran?
Okay, so that's a good question. The Bible and the Quran have a lot of the same information in it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the same stories. For example, Jonah being swallowed by the whale, Noah, Abraham, Moses, and all of that. The story about the Egyptians being freed from slavery, same type of history. So there are many similarities, but there are also quite a few differences. The way it's worded is quite different from the Bible. The way it's set up is a bit different. And let's see, the original language that they have it written in is Arabic. And let's see. So the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he wrote the words that the angel Gabriel told him to write, it was said that the words were not supposed to ever be altered, not changed at all. So the people, the original people, protected the words. Everyone's been protecting the original text in the Quran, so it never changes, and so everything is the same in each publication. And it was
so you don't have like different stuff like King James or
right
or NIV or whatever.
Yeah, so yeah, if you're looking for a Christian Bible, you can find many different versions.
Yes.
Old Testament, New Testament, Catholic version, like you said, King James. There's a Gideon. What else?
Well, my dad uses one that is directly translated from Hebrew.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, there are many different versions, whereas the Quran is always the same version. No matter if you buy it in a small size or a large size, you're going to be getting the same text.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is Jesus in the Quran?
So yes, Jesus is, in Islam, the Muslim people think that Jesus is an amazing, miraculous prophet, but they don't believe that he is Son of God or that he is God. And so when we talk about Allah, that's another name for God, just the same God of heaven. So if you're a Muslim, you worship the same God as a Christian does or a Jewish person. But in the Jewish faith also, they believe that Jesus is a prophet, a very special prophet. And the Muslim people have a great respect, great regard for Jesus, peace be upon him, as well.
Okay. Which came first, the Bible or the Quran?
Okay, so the Bible came first. The Bible was from way back, and in the Bible, in the first section of the Bible, past Genesis, before Leviticus, it actually states that the last prophet is coming, and that would have been Prophet Muhammad, and Prophet Muhammad came 1400 years ago.
Okay. But do you believe there is a Son of God? Or
I believe that we're all children of God. God created us all. there were definitely a handful of special people that God chose to pass on his word to humanity. And those are the prophets, peace be upon them. And the Bible talks about Mary, and in the Quran she's called Miriam. So all of most of the stories are the same when it comes to that.
Mostly, I would guess the Old Testament would be more of the same than the New Testament.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the difference is between the Old Testament and the New Testament, but I will say that that's just an obvious thing that it's been altered, because how can something be new and something be old if it hasn't been changed in some way?
So, how do Muslims treat disabled people?
A typical Muslim family will not institutionalize a disabled member of the family or a elderly member of the family. They will care for that person as long as it takes, and all of the family members help in that way. The normal Muslim family will honor the parents, the grandparents, and take good care of anybody in the family that needs care. Mm-hmm.
Okay. At what age do girls have to wear a hijab?
So that depends on the family, but girls usually start to wear a hijab at around age 12.
Okay. Do they ever get time to just play?
Well, I think it depends on the family and their expectations and what the child, needs as well, and how it's communicated within the family. It could have been that you just noticed that she was doing a lot of that.
Well, when she wasn't doing that,
Mm-hmm.
she was just watching her younger brothers
Mm-hmm.
and sister.
Well, but, we're not in their home 24 hours, so
Yeah.
we don't know if, I'm sure she had time to herself and to think and to play with whatever, she had in her room. But the Quran also tries to teach people to be helpful in their homes and their families.
Yeah.
So
And that's one thing I wish Christians had.
Yeah, well, it's based on being respectful to your parents, honoring your parents, helping, and when you get married, being very helpful to your husband, taking care of the home and the children, things like that.
Yeah. So what do you believe Allah is the same God we worship?
Yeah, so that's a common misconception among Christians and people that are of no faith or agnostic or something like that. They have a tendency to think that Muslims are worshiping an entirely different God, but is actually not correct. We're worshiping the same God of heaven, the same one and only creator of all of us. And
you just call them by a different name?
Mm-hmm. So in the Quran there are, I believe, 99 different names for God.
Yeah. What would happen if a Muslim woman took off her hijab in America versus Muslim countries?
Okay, so depending on where you are, where you're living, what culture you're in, would have different results. For example, if you're in America, in a normal environment where everyone's just going to the mall or to school or walking around in a park or whatever, there probably wouldn't be any notice of it. Probably wouldn't be even given a second thought. If you were inside of a religious community or a building like the mosque, and you did that, it would be viewed as disrespectful and people would be wondering why you did it. If you are in a Muslim country, depending on that country, for example, if you are in Turkey, Turkey is more like a melting pot of all different types of faiths and cultures, and they're pretty tolerant of just about any kind of dress outside, because they've got a lot of people coming in from different countries. If you go to a place that is more strict like Saudi Arabia, you would probably have quite a bit of a problem. Until just recently, there was the religious police, and you might have gotten into some trouble with them if you didn't have your hair covered. You need to be wearing an abaya and covering your body as well. So it just depends.
Okay. Are all Muslim women put into arranged marriages?
No, not necessarily, but it is the norm, especially in different areas of the world. For example, again, Saudi Arabia, perhaps United Arab Emirates or Pakistan, let's see, some places in India. Arranged marriage can be actually a good thing, and here's why. Because if you want to get married, or if your family wants to make sure that you get a husband or a wife, they go to a lot of trouble to make sure they help pick the right one. And so they know you better than anybody, and they get to know the family and the person that's going to be your spouse, and then they decide, yes, I think this would be a good match, or no, it wouldn't be a good match. But then ultimately, most of the time, after they've done that, they let the two people decide. They don't just force the marriage. What they mean by arranged marriages, they find the two spouses, prospective spouses, and then they let them have a chance to get to know each other and make the decision whether they're going to get married or not.
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, do you believe, like, that there's a heaven and there's a rapture, like in the Bible? Like, where God calls all the ones that are listening to Him the most, like, up to heaven for a certain amount of time? And
So that's also in the Quran. It's not called the rapture.
okay.
But they do have, they talk about that a lot in the Quran, and that's one of the main focuses of the Quran, is to follow the ways of the Lord, follow the rules He put forth to mankind, do the best you can to praise, worship, and follow Allah, God, and be a good person. And God knows your heart. So if you're doing things with ulterior motives that may hurt some people, or a selfish intention or evil or something like that, God ultimately knows what's in your heart, and it could, basically it will backfire on you, because in the end, when you die, you're judged, and God will take the believers with Him, and the non-believers won't be caught up to heaven. So it's the same story.
Okay. Do Muslim girls get the same schooling as boys?
Well, that just depends on the family, and it was probably for the girls' own protection. She would have still gotten schooling, or they would have still gotten schooling at home, because that's the law in the country. They have to continue their schooling. But it would have just been homeschool, and so it's just a personal choice of the family, really.
There's one more thing. So I know that a whole lot of people just hate Muslims because of terrorists and stuff, but I totally understand that not all Muslims are like that. Why do people think that all Muslims are like that? I know it's a
So,
probably a hard question for you too.
well, yeah, I don't think that all people feel that way, especially if they're educated, if they've had some form or another of becoming familiar with Muslim people in some way. People that travel a lot are more familiar with Muslims and more educated. And I think it falls along more, in areas where there has been no type of education on the subject and
Yeah.
there's no familiarity, like there's no interaction.
I think they should put that into like school
Uh-huh.
books and stuff.
Yeah.
Because like if you just go to the airport and you have a hijab on or something,
Mhm.
they move away from you probably. I know that the security guards are really careful and they don't treat you the same as other people, which actually goes against our country's beliefs.
Oh, okay. Well, I can tell you my own experience in the airport wearing hijab, and actually I didn't have a problem at all myself. And there was a woman who was a security person there, and she was wearing hijab, and I actually got a lot of compliments, which is nice, because I know in our area where we're living, there's not a lot of people wearing hijab. It's just you don't see it too much, so it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
I think people have a tendency to associate this black covering with ISIS and the Islamic State, which is, they wear it, but so do all the other Muslim people, especially if they're from the Gulf.
Yeah.
And so it's just about the person. It's not about the covering. But because there's an association for the picture of the black niqab and the black covering, it scares people. It makes people nervous. People wonder what's going on, and it's not.
That's not fair.
It's not fair, but it's. For example, I don't go out wearing this entire black niqab and my face covered, because that would be too much for the people in this area to handle.
Yeah.
There would be all kinds of problems and issues popping up over that.
Yeah. I just don't think you guys should be judged for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
I wanted to let you know that.
Oh, yeah. So, how do you feel wearing the niqab? Does it feel interesting? How does it feel?
It feels kind of good. It's like I'm always putting hair in front of my face anyway, because I'm a little bit shy around new people.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is kind of like, you can just like look down like that and no one notices. Mm-hmm. I really like it.
It gives you privacy, doesn't it? Yeah, you don't have to worry about what you look like. You don't have to worry about if your hair is done up, or if you have enough makeup on, or if your clothes look pretty enough. You can just be pretty for your husband or around the house, or you can just get right out of the shower and put this on and be comfortable, and you're always well put together. You're completely private. Nobody knows what your body shape looks like. Nobody knows what your face looks like. Nobody knows the color of your hair. It's kind of nice to have that privacy, so nobody can judge you or have thoughts about you.
I already love wearing dresses. I'll wear dresses